Starting off the list today at number 10 is Robert Downey Jr. Our beloved Iron Man is known to have an edgy attitude, but most of us have come to appreciate his sarcasm. Although we don't know him personally, he seems like a pretty decent guy from what we can see in interviews. However, it was one interview that drove the actor to his breaking point, which led him to walk completely off the set during the middle of the interview. In 2015, when he was doing an interview with UK's Channel 4 News with a journalist named Krishan Guru Murthy, the actor got irritated because the journalist kept asking him questions about his past, pressing him for personal answers. He started by answering his questions kindly, no problem. He even said that he had no problem discussing his past, but it reached a certain point when Downey Jr. even asked, are we promoting a movie? The interview was actually set up to promote his movie Avengers Age of Ultron, and none of the questions had to do with the movie. He was asked about his past drug addiction, alcohol abuse, and even personal questions about his father.
Taking drugs and drinking and all of that. And I just wondered whether, you think you're free of all of that, or whether that's still something.
I'm sorry, I really don't. What are we doing?
So when he had enough, he walked off the set and even gave the journalist a little nudge on his way out. The journalist tweeted out the video, which shows the actor leaving the set, and captioned it with a steely moment from Iron Man.
Bye.
Are you? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Throughout the interview, you can see the actor tense up and get a little snarkier as it goes on, but he actually controls himself a lot better than I probably would, if I'm being honest. At number 9 is Tyra Banks. Ever since Tyra yelled, "We were rooting for you" on America's Next Top Model, it's become one of the most iconic moments in reality TV history and also one of the most popular GIFs and memes on the internet. It's been more than a decade since Tyra freaked out on set and yelled at one of her contestants on the show, Tiffany Richardson. The footage has over 11 million views and counting. In the clip, you can see Tyra raise her voice the way your mom used to do when you were in some serious trouble. If you haven't actually watched the clip, you may have known about it because of the famous line and GIFs and memes going around the internet.
Yes, but it's not, this is not, be quiet, Tiffany. Be quiet! That's what is wrong with you. Stop it! I have never in my life yelled at a girl like this. When my mother yells at this, it's because she loves me!
In 2017, the former model opened up about the incident and explained her entire experience on the show. When speaking on it, she says, and I quote, "I went into it thinking Tyra was an effing god. To actually see her and the vibe, it was completely different. It was just weird. I felt like we were all there just to be humiliated. I don't think she gave a f about none of us except for the ones who made it big." It's been 11 years since the freakout, and the model has moved on with no hard feelings. She's now a mom of 2 and works a normal 9-to-5 job at a group home in Miami, assisting people with mental disabilities. Taking our number 8 spot is Nicolas Cage. We've often seen the actor lose his mind on screen, but rarely have we seen him lose his mind when it wasn't for a performance. It wasn't until a video was released when he was filming Ghost Rider 2 where you can see him having an on-set freakout. There was a sidewalk confrontation where they were filming, and the freakout shows Cage yelling frantically, doing crazy arm motions, and using very over-dramatic quotes like, "I will die in the name of honor." Turns out it happened downtown outside of a club when locals began to confront the actor, who just was not having it. Once he finished yelling, he began to threaten the people around him who was trying to actually calm him down, and he yelled, "Don't touch me if you want to live." This freakout caused a lot of controversy because he wasn't visiting on some sort of vacation or on his own time. He was actually filming, and that is where they claimed the set was technically located. Who knows, who cares, the footage is actually ridiculous, and if you want a good laugh, definitely go and find it after this video. Sliding into number 7 is Mike Myers. The actor has had multiple freakout moments, but one that has to be the most ridiculous is this one. The director of Wayne's World, Penelope Spheeris, opened up about a story while doing an interview back in 2008. She explained that while filming the movie with Mike Myers, she often found it difficult to perk up his dark mood. She told a story that the actor actually stormed off set because he was infuriated that there was no margarine for his bagel, only butter. Sources said the actor was so angry because he suffered from hypoglycemia, but that was later cleared up by the actor's rep, who confirmed that he doesn't. The movie's director went on to say he was so emotionally needy and got more difficult as the shoot went on. She admitted that she actually put her daughter in charge of making sure he had whatever snack he needed at any given moment. She explained, "To this day, I have this image of her sitting on this little cooler looking at me like, 'Mom, I hate you.'" What do you guys think? Do you put butter or margarine on your bagel? At number 6 is George Clooney, who freaked out on the set and took it all out on director David O. Russell. The two of them worked together on Three Kings, and one of the most famous on-set clashes was shared between the two of them. Apparently, there was a lot of tension on set involving different things like Clooney's pay cut and scheduling conflicts, and the friction between them eventually just reached a boiling point. The producer of the show, Charles Roven, elaborated on the story and said, "Now we're shooting the climax of the movie. Helicopters, explosions, gunfire, it's chaos, madness, and George sees David talking to the extras and it looks like he's yelling at them, but he's yelling just to be heard, and George comes running over and goes, 'I told you, motherfucker, if you're going to pick on somebody, pick on me,' and David goes, 'Why don't you just remember your lines for once?' And boom, they grab each other and they're tussling, and so I pulled George away." The verbal argument turned into a physical brawl between the two men, who now regret that it ever happened. However, they can be proud of their work, as the movie is still considered one of the best war movies of the 1990s and it still holds a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Jerry O'Connell. The actor is now 45 years old, but is still known for being the poster child of cannabis edibles. The incident happened back when he was shooting his movie Stand By Me in 1985. He was just 11 years old at the time, and like most kids his age, he loved going to the fair. They were shooting the movie in Eugene, Oregon, which happened to be having a big hippie fair. The youngster thought that fair meant it was a carnival and that there would be some rides, cotton candy, and some innocent games. He was infuriated when his set babysitter, who remained with him on and off set, said that he wasn't able to go. The little guy ended up throwing a tantrum on set one day, which led him to tying his babysitter to a banister and snuck out later that evening. Like, no joke, he legitimately tied her up and snuck out. Turns out he ate cookies that were offered at the fair, which were actually THC infused cookies, aka edibles. Police ended up finding him crying in the park. His co-star Kiefer Sutherland opened up and said he'd lost it, totally disoriented, and we had to shut down production for 2 days. He was stoned for a little while. Luckily, he was just high and not killed. So our very number 4 spot is Orson Welles. The actor would have been 104 years old today and has left behind a large resume of successful work. He was an actor, director, and a writer. What he's most known for, though, to the YouTube generation is the video that has the actor freaking out during a voiceover recording. In 1970, the actor was on set doing voiceover work for a Findus frozen foods ad. During the recording, you can hear people giving him directions, and the actor just is not having it. After he was asked for one more take from the audio engineer, his response was, "Look, I'm not used to having more than one person in there. One more word out of you and you go. Is that clear? I take directions from one person under protest. Who the hell are you anyway?" And that was just the beginning of his little on-set freakout.
I have just one more take of that.
Why? I just did it right.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not used to having more than one person in there. One more word out of you and you go. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
By the end of the video, he ends up raising his voice and yelling, "You are such pests. In your depths of your ignorance, what is it that you want?" He seems like he would just be a pleasure to work with. Alright guys, at number 3 we have Eric Bogosian. Things got a little too real on set of The Get Down while filming back in 2016. The actor has always been known to be a little edgy, but that side of him really showed when he flipped out on set one day and threw a chair. His other cast members have opened up about the story, saying that his anger came from the writing staff working overtime on the scripts, which left some of the actors frustrated with little time to prepare. The cast all agree that they were basically writing the show as it went along, which left them very little time to memorize their lines. Eric had enough one day and ended up shouting with anger to a point where he picked up a chair and tossed it violently across the room. The producers ended up sending everyone home that day and continued to film once everything had calmed down. At number 2 is Christian Bale. Who could forget this epic freakout that was caught on tape back in 2009? During the filming of the Terminator movie, video footage leaked out onto the internet which captured the actor going off on some sort of crazy rant at one of the crew members. You can hear the actor yell and cuss for a few minutes at the crew member who apparently walked behind him while he was filming a scene. You can hear the crew member say that he was just looking at one of the lights. Bale continued to cuss at him and calls him an amateur, telling him to stay off the effing set. The fight continues to escalate as Bale threatens to kick his ass and trash his lights. He even goes as far as saying that he will quit the movie if this guy is still hired. Honestly, the footage is absolutely ridiculous, and I actually feel so bad for the crew member. Since the incident and footage went viral, the actor has apologized, calling it inexcusable, and admitted that he acted like a punk. He said, "I was out of order beyond belief. I make no excuses for it. There is nobody who has heard the tape who has been hit harder than me." I think the crew member might disagree with you on that. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is Wesley Snipes. I mean, come on, how could you not think that he would be taking our number 1 spot? His story is no surprise these days and still gets talked about even though it happened back in 2000. The actor was filming Blade Trinity when he had a complete freak out on set. Apparently the whole incident was over a shirt. A shirt. Turns out that day on set they let everyone pick out their own clothes to wear. One other black actor that was working on the movie chose to wear a shirt that had the word garbage written on it in big stylish letters. It was the actor's shirt and also the actor's choice, but apparently Wesley missed the whole pick out your own clothes memo. He went on set to shoot a scene with the other actor and saw the shirt that he was wearing, and that is when he went into a rage, yelling, "There's only one other black guy in this movie and you make him wear a shirt that says garbage, you racist mother." Not only that, but he actually began to strangle the director, David Goyer. Surprisingly enough, once things settled, filming continued on. But Goyer hired security to be with him on set, and Snipes was ordered to not speak to him for the rest of production. Just imagine how dumb he must have felt when the actor told him that it was his shirt.
At number 10, Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts seems like a nice person, and I'm sure on her off days she's lovely, but on set she's been known to be kind of a handful and has caused some drama with the people that she's worked with. Though she's often cast as nice and endearing characters, there is much more to Julia than meets the eye. Apparently, according to her co-stars and past crew members, she's a nightmare to work with. A specific time when Julia was known to be especially nightmarish was when she starred in the 1991 Spielberg film Hook, a Peter Pan film. While working on the film, Julia earned the nickname Tinkerhell as a play on her character Tinkerbell, combined with the production's perception of the actress. Apparently, during filming, she would show up to set late all the time. She would lock herself in her trailer for hours on end, she would treat people badly, and she would never apologize for her actions or behavior. She caused quite a lot of drama with the people she worked with because she just wouldn't cooperate. At number 9, Mike Myers. Does anyone else remember the Cat in the Hat live action film from 2003 starring Mike Myers? I certainly do. It was pretty cringy, but in a good way since I was a little kid then, and I found everything to be unbelievably hilarious. I enjoyed that movie as a kid, but one person who didn't like it was the Cat in the Hat himself, Mike Myers. After the success of Austin Powers, Mike was set to bump up his comedy and star in a production based on one of his old characters. But before that was all carried out, the actor and the studio got into some debates and there were legal troubles. All of that was just some unnecessary drama. Well, they both ended up reaching an agreement and it obligated Mike to star in the Cat in the Hat movie. He never wanted to sign up for it, and he really made it known how badly he didn't want to be there. According to people who worked with him on set during the filming of The Cat in the Hat, Mike was very rude and dismissive, and he refused to talk to anyone. He became a hermit and a diva apparently, and this whole experience and the subsequent film were all so bad that Dr. Seuss's widow said that she would never allow Hollywood to make another movie based on Seuss's books again. At number 8, Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase is known for being in National Lampoon and the show Community, but is also known around Hollywood as being kind of a jerk and starting drama with the people that he works with. There are a bunch of articles, books, and interviews of people talking about their experiences with the actor and how mean he can be. There are even stories in the book Live from New York that detail the times that Chase has been mean to staff, writers, interns, and other hosts. Will Ferrell and Bill Murray are among those who have taken a dislike to Chase because of the way he's treated others. Will Ferrell has said that he doesn't like Chevy because of the way he treats some of the female staff members. Bill Murray and Chevy Chase even got into a brawl backstage of SNL back in the day where they said some pretty hurtful things to each other because they were kind of comedy rivals on the show. Chevy just doesn't get along with everyone, and he said that it's because fame went to his head, but something tells me that's not the only reason he starts drama.
In at number 7, Zooey Deschanel. Zooey Deschanel seems like a quirky sweetheart in her movies, but people in the industry think of her completely differently. Her castmates over the years have called her words like nasty, moody, and unhappy. So clearly not what most people are expecting. Apparently her worst behavior on set is from bad scheduling. Anyone in showbiz knows that filming pretty much always goes over time, but apparently Zooey would get really bratty when this happened. And instead of doing her best work to get things done sooner, she would just throw a fit, stop shooting, and sometimes even leave the set before things were finished. This behavior could be why she isn't in many projects anymore.
At number 6, Megan Fox. A director kind of counts like a co-star, right? I mean, they work together, so let's just go with it. Megan Fox has been in a few pretty successful films before being cast in the Transformers films, but after the success of this franchise, she was launched into fame. That is until things came crashing down after getting fired from her role and facing a lot of backlash because of it. When she was fired from Transformers, Michael Bay said that the decision came after she was a quote, nightmare to work with. What really happened is Megan made a comment about Michael Bay's behavior on set, commenting on how strict he was. On top of everything, when fellow director Steven Spielberg caught wind of these comments, he advised Bay to fire her, and that is exactly what happened. This drama caused Megan to lose her job and also gain a reputation of being hard to work with, which followed her for many years, so this drama really affected her a lot. Her career is slowly coming back to where it was before this drama went down. At number 5, Emma Roberts. Emma Roberts has had quite a few feuds with co-stars. She's had drama with Gabrielle Sidibe, Ariana Grande, and Evan Peters, but the biggest feud that she's had was with Lea Michele on the set of Scream Queens. According to sources, Emma Roberts and Lea Michele had one strong attribute in common, and that was the fact that they were both divas, and so while they were working together, they butt heads with each other quite often. Apparently, their fighting got so bad while working that during filming, actress Jamie Lee Curtis had to step in and mediate the hostile situation between Emma and Lea because she was just so fed up with their constant bickering while they were trying to work. It was also reported that the actresses would constantly have mean girl moments, making rude and catty comments towards each other almost daily. Rumors of this feuding between them were pretty common in entertainment news while Scream Queens was still in production, showing that things never really died down between the two actresses. It seemed like Emma just caused a heck of a lot of drama with a lot of people on set. At number 4, Lea Michele. Lea Michele was exposed last year for her Hollywood mean streak and for her terrible on-set behavior, as well as the drama that she caused with people on set. This all came out following a tweet from former Glee co-star Samantha Ware, where she let the world know how horrible it was to work with Lea. The actress is now described as quote, callous, rude, mean, and even a diva. But following Samantha's exposure of the Broadway star, other people have come forward with their own testimonies regarding Lea and her mean streak. There have been stories of Lea's microaggressions, but also stories of her spitting in craft service food that she doesn't like, refusing to work with people because they don't know her middle name, requesting reshoots because she didn't like her costume, disrespecting other castmates and having crew members apologize on her behalf, and so many other frustrating tidbits that really just showed how rude and entitled she's been known to be. It was never a dull moment on set, but not in a good way.
In at number 3, Terry Hatcher. This one breaks my heart because I'm a huge fan of Desperate Housewives, but apparently on set she was the mean girl, and all the leading ladies got along except for Hatcher. During the filming of Desperate Housewives, she was known for being an issue on set. One of the co-stars told the creator of Desperate Housewives that she was the meanest woman in the world. She was not only a pain on the show, but practically all of her projects, and she now has a reputation for a bad attitude. Back when she was filming Tomorrow Never Dies, co-star Pierce Brosnan called her out for never being on time. I guess Terry really must have been a phenomenal actress to have played the lovable Susan Myers so well. Let me know below if you like Desperate Housewives. That is one of my all-time favorite shows.
At number 2, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf has really been going through it in Hollywood. He kind of has a bad reputation now because of the conflicts he's been in, the latest of which got him fired from a movie. Because of his bad attitude and clashes on set, the actor was fired by Olivia Wilde from the upcoming film Don't Worry Darling. It was announced in late fall last year that Harry Styles would be replacing Shia in the film, and now we know that it was due to Shia's alleged bad behavior, as people have cited that Shia is quote, not an easy guy to work with. It was alleged that there was some kind of conflict between him and Olivia Wilde as well, and so because of that and the fact that other cast and crew members didn't like working with him, Shia was let go. Getting fired is always a negative, but in Hollywood, when your work involves relationships with others and having connections, having a bad experience that was enough to get you fired can ultimately burn that bridge and result in you having less and less connections in the industry, therefore having less and less opportunities to find work. Bottom line, starting drama at work is not good. And finally, at number 1, Jessica Alba. I have to say that I really liked Jessica Alba in the Fantastic Four movies, but she, on the other hand, did not. When she was cast in the first Fantastic Four movie, she was put under a 3-film contract, so when the first film did well and the sequel was announced, it wasn't much of a surprise, but when the film did come around, it was such a bust, and Jessica hated the movie so much that she almost considered quitting acting for good. Luckily for her, since the sequel did so bad, they never made a third movie, but she did grow to hate the character Sue Storm because of how bad the films ended up being. Maybe it's just the curse of the Fantastic Four, because even the reboot they did a couple years ago did even worse than the original. So honestly, I don't know.
We are creating thousands of jobs, you I don't ever want to see it again! Ever!
If you're Christian Bale right now, you must be feeling pretty good that you're not the only actor to be caught having a crazy meltdown while on set. Audio has just been leaked where Tom Cruise can be overheard going absolutely insane, and we're gonna break it all down for you right here on Top 10 Beyond the Screen. In audio obtained by the UK news outlet The Sun, Tom Cruise can be heard berating two crew members after seeing them in close proximity to one another. Apparently, while on set, a distance of 3 meters have been put into effect for COVID safety, but the pair were breaking this mandate. Tom is currently filming Mission Impossible 7, which is where this meltdown took place. Cruise, who is a producer on the big budget action film, starts off the clip by yelling that they are the gold standard. He continues by telling them that studio executives are back in Hollywood making movies right now because of their caution throughout this pandemic. The two crew members that Tom was screaming at apparently were less than a meter away from each other and standing at a computer screen. Approximately 50 staff members at the Warner Bros. Studio were left in shock by Tom's angry outbursts. That's 50 people standing around letting this actor and producer scream at them all for 2 minutes straight. I totally get why Tom Cruise was so angry here though. He was furious that after all of his efforts to bring back filming, 2 crew members were about to ruin it all for them. Cruise also said that he was offering no apologies for his rant because people's livelihoods are at stake. In the clip, he can be overheard saying, "You can tell it to the people that are losing their effing homes because our industry is shut down. It's not going to put food on their table or pay for their college education. That's what I sleep with every night, the future of this effing industry. So I'm sorry, I'm beyond your apologies." He then went on to say, "We are not shutting this effing movie down. If I see it again, you're effing gone." The latest installment into the Mission Impossible franchise has already had some complications due to COVID. Apparently, the movie is earning its name throughout the process for the 7th film. In October, Tom Cruise had to hold crisis talks with the film's director after 12 people on set in Italy tested positive. Additionally, upwards of 150 background extras were turned away because the local health officials had still not tracked down the people on the crew that had tested positive. So as to not put more people at risk, filming was halted and everything was delayed even more. So you gotta imagine that Tom Cruise is just wanting to finish this film so that he can get this nightmare over with. According to The Sun, after Cruise returned to the UK 2 weeks ago, he personally tried to ensure that there would be no more delays. We're guessing this is a promise that he made to the studios back in Hollywood. Several times he has been photographed wearing a mask while on set, and obviously this audio recording is an example that he is cracking down on rule breakers. He apparently even personally paid £500,000 for an old cruise ship that the cast and crew could isolate on, which is a little ironic considering that some of the biggest COVID hotspots to begin with were cruise ships. Hopefully this one was properly scrubbed down before they boarded to quarantine, but nonetheless, that was a nice gesture of him. A source close to the set of Mission Impossible told The Sun that Tom has really been taking it upon himself, along with the health and safety department, to try and enforce these safety precautions, because the last thing that he wants is for filming to be stopped again. The source also went on to say, he does daily rounds to make sure that everything is set up appropriately, that people are behaving and working as safely as they can. He's very proactive when it comes to safety, adding, everyone was wearing masks, it was purely that these people were standing under a meter away from each other. It isn't known whether he saw those guys breaking the rules before, or whether this was the straw that broke the camel's back. The source also added that people make mistakes and slip up, but that Tom was just on it every time. Now I know the source could not confirm as to whether or not this was the crew member's first warning, but judging off of what Tom said to them in the last bit of that clip, they sound like repeat offenders. I mean, no one goes from 0 to 100 like that unless this is the second or third time that you've told them to be socially distanced. In the last part of that clip, Tom says, "All the way down the line, and I care about you guys, but if you're not going to help me, you're gone, okay? Do you see that stick? How many meters is that? When people are standing around a effing computer and hanging out around there, what are you doing? And if they don't comply, then send their names to Matt Spooner. That's it." Now it's important to note that as per usual, Twitter was divided by this incident. Some praised Tom Cruise for militantly enforcing COVID safety precautions, while others argued that no one should speak like this to anyone ever for any reason. However, those people are not producers on a massive franchise that is employing literally thousands of people. When you actually have some skin in the game, it will make you do some wild things, like yell at people for not being socially distanced. People were calling him a narcissist and egomaniac, but in reality it's quite the opposite. Everything he is saying comes back to him not wanting people to get sick or lose their jobs. Or worse, both. To me it sounds like a boss who is being responsible and holding his staff accountable for breaking the rules that puts everything they've worked so hard for at jeopardy. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on this major meltdown though.
At number 10, Channing Tatum. Channing Tatum is one of Hollywood's many heartthrobs. Any role that requires an attractive muscle man Channing Tatum could fill, however he might not always be happy about doing that. Though he found a lot of success in other movies like 21 Jump Street and Magic Mike, when it came to the G.I. Joe movie back in 2009, the actor wasn't too thrilled about his part in the film. While doing an interview with Howard Stern, Channing spoke out about his feelings towards the movie and his part in it, where he told the audience that he didn't want the part in the movie in the first place. Going into more detail, the actor said that he was, quote, pushed into doing that movie, end quote. Channing also said that he was forced to take the part because he had to fulfill a contract that he had with Paramount Pictures. The actor also told the audience that though he liked G.I. Joe growing up, when it came to the film, the quote, script was subpar, and he was unsure if he wanted to actually be Joe, end quote. The film ended up being pretty subpar as the script suggested, and it got pretty mediocre ratings. This ended up saddling Channing with an underperforming movie, and that's never good for someone's career. At number 9, Bill Murray. Bill Murray already has a bad reputation in Hollywood for his poor on-set behavior, so it's no surprise to me to find out that he's had some serious drama with one of his castmates on the set of Charlie's Angels. While filming the movie, Bill Murray was said to have antagonized actress Lucy Liu. When watching the film, you would think that they were all good friends and on good terms, but in reality it was quite the opposite. The film set was sort of a hostile work environment that caused Bill to take on a disliking towards Lucy. Turns out Bill would insult Lucy's talent and acting ability, and on one occasion even said, quote, I get why you're here, you got talent, but what in the hell are you doing here, you can't act. Apparently the harassment and bullying got so bad at one point that Lucy tried throwing punches at Bill during a scene because his insults got so bad. This antagonizing went on for the entire duration of production, and Bill kept on berating Lucy about her presence on set and calling her unprofessional as well. This drama was so unnecessary. At number 8, Jennifer Garner. After the success of the 2003 film Daredevil based on the Marvel comic, the studio decided, hey, this made us a lot of money, how about a spin-off? And so they did it. The spin-off film was based on Jennifer Garner's character from Daredevil named Elektra. It was looking like it would be very successful based on the success of the Daredevil movie, but sometimes things just don't always work out the way you would expect it, and the Elektra film tanked at the box office and received a lot of negative reviews as well. Later on in interviews, Jennifer went on to say how even she hated the film. Later she explained that the only reason why she agreed to the film was because Daredevil was in her contract, but she wished that she was never part of the movie because of how bad it was. At number 7, Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling is one of Hollywood's most famous actors, but he also is someone who experienced getting fired because of on-set drama, and it first happened very early on in his career. Back in the 90s, Ryan was part of the Mickey Mouse Club alongside stars like Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, and Britney Spears, but after some on-set drama, Ryan got fired from Disney. Ryan didn't stick around too long on the show because in an interview from 2008, Ryan opened up about his 2 years on the Disney Channel, where he revealed that things didn't work out well between him and the studio. The La La Land actor revealed that producers from the Disney Channel show thought that Ryan had a bit of an attitude problem and was seen as a bad influence on the other kids. The actor also went on to say that he was apparently considered to be such a menace to the other kids that the mothers of his co-stars went to the executives to complain about his behavior. The studio eventually decided that Ryan wasn't Disney material because of his behavior, and he was soon let go. At number 6, Keanu Reeves. Actor Keanu Reeves found a lot of success after starting in The Matrix, and with that came a lot of drama. Coming out of the success of The Matrix, Keanu got blindsided by his friend Joe Charbonnet. Charbonnet allegedly forged Keanu's signature and forced the actor into starring in the serial killer film The Watcher. Because Keanu was unable to prove that Charbonnet actually forged his signature, and in the interest of avoiding a costly legal battle, Keanu went on to star in the movie, but he stayed super salty about it. When it came time for the movie's release, the actor did nothing to promote the movie. On top of that, he was contractually obligated to refrain from talking about how he got involved in the movie in the first place. However, that saltiness did build up, so when that contract expired, the actor was able to talk about the movie, and he didn't hold back on spilling the tea on how things went down. He did not hold a single detail back. At number 5, Emily Blunt. Actress Emily Blunt first got her rise to fame after starring in the film The Devil Wears Prada. After the success of that film, she was receiving offers from everywhere, including Marvel Studios, who were at one point considering her to play the role of Black Widow in Iron Man 2. Well, obviously that never happened, and instead she went on to play a role that she didn't exactly want. Fox Studios, the makers of The Devil Wears Prada, wanted Emily to appear in the new remake of Gulliver's Travels. Unfortunately, Emily had no choice but to say yes because there was a little fine print in her contract when she signed on to be in The Devil Wears Prada that indicated that she had to star in one more film with the network, and the network chose Gulliver's Travels. The film ended up being a total failure, but luckily it didn't hurt the actress's career.
In at number 4, Shia LaBeouf. Shia LaBeouf is a child star that I've been watching ever since I was a preteen. And even though he was known for being goofy and lovable in his child stardom days, in real life he's completely different. Shia is known for being pretty intense in real life, and his violent attitude has caused him to get in trouble with the law on multiple occasions. Shia is also a thief and was accused of plagiarizing an entire screenplay. Basically, he copied the entire screenplay of Daniel Clowes and just changed the name, hoping nobody would notice. But thankfully, people did notice. More recently, Shia is also being sued by his ex-partner, FKA Twigs, for harmful and toxic behavior. After FKA Twigs came forward, other women, including Sia, backed up the claims.
At number 3, Natalie Portman. I might get roasted for this one, but the second Thor movie, Thor: The Dark World, wasn't really all that great. Another person who really wasn't a fan of the movie was one of the film's stars, Natalie Portman, who played the love interest, Jane Foster. When she signed on to the first Thor film, she brought a lot of clout to the film since she was already a pretty big name in Hollywood, and at the time the MCU needed that since they were just starting out. But it seems as though the studio got a little greedy with Natalie because even though she didn't really want to be in the Thor sequel, she was essentially bribed with a promise that the specific director would come on to direct the film. Well, when that director eventually backed out, Natalie was still contractually obligated to stay, and so they were able to rope her in for one last movie. The actress lost out on the one thing that made filming worth her while, and she still had to stay on set even though she didn't want to. After that, Natalie swore off making another film as she said, quote, "As far as I know, I'm done. I don't know if maybe one day they'll ask for an Avengers 7 or whatever, I have no idea, but as far as I know, I'm done." End quote. Funnily enough, Natalie is set to appear in the next Thor film, Thor: Love and Thunder, so we'll just have to wait and see how she feels about this experience. At number 2, Daniel Craig. I know actor Daniel Craig as the latest person to take up the role of James Bond, but apparently Daniel Craig wishes he never took up the role. The actor is very vocal about how much he hates playing James Bond, and when promoting the movie Skyfall in 2012, he really let his feelings about the role be known, as he said, quote, "I've been trying to get out of this from the moment I got into it, but they won't let me go, and I've agreed to a couple more," end quote. You would think that after some more time, he would have warmed up to the character, but no, not really. Back in 2015, during the release of the next Bond film, Spectre, Daniel got even more heated when talking about the role when he said, quote, "At this moment, no. I have a life, I've got to get on with it," end quote. He also went on to say that he would, quote, "rather break this glass and slash his wrist than to be in another Bond film." He must have been really mad when he had to take up the role yet again for No Time to Die, which comes out this fall. And finally, at number 1, Mike Myers. Having things not go your way can certainly cause you to have a bad attitude about things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to take your feelings out on others. When Mike Myers was filming the 2003 live-action version of The Cat in the Hat, that is exactly what he did. Because he was so cheesed that he had to do this movie, he started drama with just about everyone he worked with. After the success of Austin Powers, Mike was set to star in some more comedy films, but before that was all carried out, the actor and the studio got into some debates and there was some legal trouble and it caused some drama. Both sides ended up reaching an agreement and it obligated Mike to star in the Cat in the Hat movie. He never wanted to sign up for that, and he really made it known how badly he did not want to be there, because according to people who worked with him on set during filming of The Cat in the Hat, Mike was very rude and dismissive and he refused to talk to anyone. He became a hermit and a diva apparently, and this whole experience and the subsequent film were all so bad that Dr. Seuss's widow said that she would never allow Hollywood to make another movie based on Seuss's books again. He really wanted everyone to feel the same displeasure he was feeling about the film, but that certainly wasn't fair to the other people who worked so hard to bring it to life.
Coming in at 10, Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis in Black Swan. This Darren Aronofsky drama thriller about a struggling dancer contains an infamous sex scene between Natalie Portman and Mila Kunis, a scene not many would forget easily. Now, it was famously reported that the pair shared a bottle of tequila prior to shooting their sex scene, with The Hollywood Reporter stating it got everyone relaxed, until of course Portman's character Nina realizes she can't follow through with it. Shocking. Now, Kunis has repeatedly denied the claim, but that hasn't stopped folks from talking. What do you guys think though? Coming in at 9, Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter. Say it ain't so. Harry Potter was drunk? Well, apparently yes. However, this number differs from the rest of our list, as Daniel Radcliffe has previously admitted that he had quite the severe drinking problem while shooting the final few Harry Potter movies. Now, Radcliffe has stated that he would never drink before filming, but instead would show up to set still intoxicated from the previous night. In an interview with the Daily Mail, Radcliffe stated, I quote, "I can point to many scenes where I'm just gone, dead behind the eyes. I have a very addictive personality. It was a problem." Radcliffe also stated that his addiction lasted for about 2 years, with the actor partying fairly hard. Shocker. Coming in at 8, Jennifer Lawrence, Passengers. This is our first Jennifer Lawrence appearance, but definitely not our last on the list. 2016's Passengers movie flopped, and it flopped hard, so it's no surprise if you missed this sci-fi film starring J-Law and Chris Pratt, who also shared a steamy sex scene up in space. Now there wasn't much nudity, but Lawrence was reportedly very nervous, especially since Pratt was married. The actress told The Hollywood Reporter that she got drunk before filming a sex scene, but apparently it only made things worse. I quote, "I got really drunk, but then that led to more anxiety when I got home because I was like, what have I done? I don't know. Poor J-Law, you should never have done the film in the first place." Lesson learned. Coming in at 7, Carrie Fisher, The Empire Strikes Back. Carrie Fisher was a Hollywood icon and has left a huge hole in the industry since her passing. The actress of course garnered fame when she starred alongside Harrison Ford in Star Wars. However, did you know that when filming The Empire Strikes Back, the actress was a little worse for wear? In one particular scene, the moment where Han and Leia meet Lando in Cloud City, Fisher told Daily Beast her and Ford had partied with the Rolling Stones the night before. I quote, "We never went to sleep, so we weren't hungover. We were still drunk when we arrived in Cloud City the next day." Amazing. What a story. Coming in at 6, Brad Pitt and Edward Norton in Fight Club. Now we're unsure of how they got so drunk, but we can assume it was some kind of drinking game. Let's just blame Meatloaf. He's always to blame. One night, however, while off camera, Ed Norton and Brad Pitt got drunk, and director David Fincher did not want to miss the opportunity to snap some great footage for the film. Fincher had the two actors film the drunken golf scene, and did you know? What they were actually whacking out was an off-camera catering truck. And they were actually drunk. The more you know. Coming in at 5, Jennifer Lawrence, again, in Catching Fire. Katniss isn't all about shooting folks with arrows and deciding which guy she likes today. Nope, sometimes she likes to get up, and that's exactly what happened on the set of Catching Fire. In a Google Hangout fan Q&A, she told viewers that the cast got drunk together while filming, even telling David Letterman she would get drunk on pina coladas in between takes. Impressive, but where's your professionalism, Everdeen? You got a dystopian city to take down. Coming in at 4, Shia LaBeouf, Lawless. Now this will not come as a surprise to most of you, as Shia LaBeouf is notorious for being a method actor and incredibly difficult to work with. Taking into account the premise of the film, where Shia plays a bootlegger during Prohibition and exclusively makes moonshine, it's no surprise that to get into character he would swig a bit before filming. The actor stated, I quote, "I did it for the movie. I didn't drink off set for no reason. I did it because when I showed up on set the next day, my eyes looked like this and my face had that drunk bloat that I needed, that I couldn't have if that wasn't going on." Good to know. If you're searching for a fresh bloat, drink some moonshine and you're good to go. Though I want him to explain why he punched Tom Hardy in the face. Maybe for another day. In at 3, Anna Kendrick, Drinking Buddies. Once again, this is a number that comes as no surprise since the entire film was made in a brewery and follows the friendship of two brewery employees, played by Olivia Wilde and Jake Johnson. Now, according to Wilde, the best part of the shoot was when fellow co-star Anna Kendrick accidentally got hammered on set. I quote, "She sat down to do the first scene and took a huge gulp of beer, not realizing it was real, and was like instantly hammered. She was like, 'What's happening?' And we were like, 'Oh, we forgot to tell you. The beer's all real and everyone's drunk. It's 10 AM, welcome to Drinking Buddies.'" Now, that's a movie I want to sign up for. Coming in at 2, Margot Robbie, The Wolf of Wall Street. Now, this one again comes as no surprise, but I didn't expect it to come from Margot Robbie. I was expecting Jonah Hill, even Leo, but not Margot. The Wolf of Wall Street was of course a pretty scandalous film, filled to the brim with sex, drugs, alcohol, and more drugs. Now, in Margot Robbie's first risque scene on screen, she was required to stand fully naked in front of the camera. The actress told the New York Times that a crew member offered her some tequila. I quote, "I did 3 shots of tequila and then took my clothes off and did the scene. It really helped stop my hand shaking and gave me a little boost of confidence." Whatever it takes, right? Finally, coming in at number 1, Fred Astaire, The Holiday Inn. Now, this classic film deserves our number 1 spot solely because of what Fred Astaire went through in order to get the perfect take. In this delightful 1942 musical comedy, Astaire was required to do a drunken dance scene at the end of the film. And of course, he wanted to drink before doing it as to rid himself of his angelic coordination. So, what did he do? Drink bourbon, of course. According to his daughter Ava, Fred did 2 shots of bourbon before the first take, and 1 with each take that followed. The shot they used in the film was the 7th take, meaning that he took 8 shots of bourbon during the course of 1 scene. Christ, how was he even standing? Well, I guess he wasn't. If you've seen the film, you'll know what I mean.
In at number 10, Jesse James. Actor Jesse James has somewhat of a reputation for being mean towards his partners in relationships. In 2010, it was revealed that while he was married to Sandra Bullock, He cheated on her with multiple partners. To make things worse, the cheating happened while the couple was trying to adopt a child. And of course, after a betrayal like that, Bullock divorced him in June of 2010. And after this, he decided to couple up with one of the women that he cheated with while married, Kat Von D. The two ended up getting engaged and were headed for marriage until it was exposed that he was cheating on her too. I guess Kat should have listened to that old saying, how you get him is how you lose him. Or once a cheater, always a cheater. Both good sayings. And at number 9, Gwyneth Paltrow. It should come as no surprise that Gwyneth Paltrow isn't very nice because almost everything she does is surrounding being better than other people. Like her diet, which does not include coffee, alcohol, dairy, eggs, sugar, corn, shellfish, fish, wheat, meat, and soy. I literally don't know what else there is to eat other than just vegetables. She also touts insane diet and lifestyle rituals that are just completely out of reach for the average person. And she can be pretty rude at restaurants. While in London, she went to a Michelin star restaurant and insulted the chef by saying, quote, I can't eat this crap. Let's just go to my suite and order room service. Also, there's this rumor that she stole the lead role in Shakespeare in Love from her ex-BFF, Winona Ryder, because she stole the script from their joint apartment. And if that's true, that is so shady. And at number 8, Edward Norton. Edward Norton has a reputation for being really rude, and honestly, I'm not too surprised. Apparently, his bad attitude on set is the reason why Marvel cut him as the Hulk in the Avengers. The president of Marvel Studios told Hitflix.com that Norton wasn't a team player, and that the studio was, quote, looking for an actor willing to work side by side with a star-studded cast. I guess that means he either got intimidated with the stars or pissed them off so much that they requested he be cut. In the interview, the Marvel exec made sure to confirm that money was not the issue here. Literally just his attitude.
At number 7, Edward Norton. Edward Norton was on the rise in Hollywood after he landed his breakout role in Primal Fear in 1996, which turned him into an Oscar-nominated star. This brought him a lot of new opportunities because everyone wanted him, but it also sort of turned him into a diva. With his role in Primal Fear, he was signed onto a 3-movie deal, but he never ended up following through on this. The studio ended up taking action against the actor and decided that in order to allow him to star in the 1999 film Fight Club, he had to make one last film for Paramount after filming for Fight Club ended. It took him another couple years to get to filming another movie for Paramount, and that only happened because the studio forced Norton's hand. They offered him a role in The Italian Job, and at first he refused the role, but both parties lawyered up and threatened to take this matter to court, and Edward finally caved and took the role even though he didn't want to.
And at number 6, Terrence Howard. Terrence Howard seems pretty nice on screen, but he's committed a lot of horrible crimes in his past in real life. In 2001, he hit his first wife, Lori McComas, because apparently she was speaking to him too strongly. Then in 2005, he hit his second wife, Michelle Gent. But sadly, this was not his only incident with that wife. In 2010, Gent claimed that Howard threw her across a hotel room and also threatened to throw her over the railing. Apparently, his terrible behavior also shows up on set and is the reason that he was cut from Iron Man. Apparently, he demanded more money from the franchise, but left when he couldn't get it. He blamed Robert Downey Jr. for years after, even though Downey Jr. had actually advocated for equal pay for everyone on the Avengers set. So it really didn't add up. Halfway at number 5, Lucille Ball. Legendary actor Lucille Ball was a lot meaner in real life than you probably expected from seeing her work on screen. Many of her characters were funny and down to earth, however, she was anything but. Allegedly, the moment camera stopped rolling, her light personality just disappeared, and she was completely rude to anyone on set who also wasn't a star. One of the worst instances of this is a story from when she was on an airplane. Allegedly, while the flight attendant was talking to her, the assistant replied, quote, "I'm sorry, Miss Ball doesn't speak to the help." Richard Burton also trashed her in his diaries, where he wrote, quote, "She's a monster of staggering charmlessness and monumental lack of humor. She's a tired old woman that lives entirely on that weekly show, which she's been doing and successfully doing for 19 years.
At number 4, Shia LaBeouf. Even though Shia LaBeouf was the go-to guy for the Transformers franchise, turns out he started to really hate it after doing too many films. When the actor first signed on to be in the first Transformers film, he was contracted into a 3-movie deal. But it turns out that after the second one, he was completely over this story and wasn't afraid to speak out about it either, even calling out the film's director, Michael Bay. When speaking out about his feelings towards the Transformers films, Shia said, quote, "There were some really wild stunts in it, but the heart was gone. We got lost. Mike went in so big that it became too big. Unless you have those relationships, then the movie doesn't matter. Then it's just a bunch of robots fighting each other." End quote. The films were always a success, so even though Shia didn't want to be part of the franchise anymore, the fans still loved him and the movies that he made. At number 3, Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis has been really successful in his career, but it seems as though he's not all that great to be around on set. Though his films are often very well made, it all comes at a price that those who've worked alongside him have had to pay. Apparently, Bruce is a nightmare to work with, as he's gotten into a number of conflicts with others on set, and they really just hate working with him. In the time before Die Hard launched his film career, Bruce found most of his success after working on the show Moonlighting alongside his co-star Sybil Shepherd. In 2005, Shepherd dished about her time working with Bruce, where she told sources that there came a point where her relationship with Bruce became volatile and they clashed a lot on set. There was reportedly constant bickering between the two of them, and it was just a toxic environment. But Sybil isn't the only one to say that they've clashed with Bruce while working together. Filmmaker Kevin Smith has also had troubles working with the actor while filming the 2010 film Cop Out. He told sources that though Bruce was his hero in past productions, that opinion went out the window, saying that working with Bruce was almost unbearable. When talking about their time together on set, Kevin said, quote, "He turned out to be the unhappiest, most bitter, meanest, emo B-word I've ever met at any job I've held down, and mind you, I worked at Domino's Pizza. What an awful experience." End quote.
And at number 2, Bruce Willis. A lot of people probably don't expect Bruce Willis to be a nice guy, but they also don't expect him to be as mean as he actually is. A lot of his fellow actors have refused to work with him, although not many of them will expose why. Kevin Smith was one of the few that did, and claimed that working with Willis was a quote soul-crushing experience. Then adding, quote, "It was difficult. I've never been involved in a situation like that where one component is not in the box at all." And I think we can interpret that to mean that he's not a team player and plays by his own rules when working. One example of this is he apparently refused to pose for promotional photos for one of his movies, leaving the crew scrambling to find a replacement. And finally at number 1, Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz is so unapproachable to fans that she was actually ranked one of the worst people ever to ask for an autograph or picture. Apparently, instead of just saying no like anybody else, she lectures fans on why asking for autographs is stupid and an invasion of privacy. People also dislike her because of this strange story from a Drew Barrymore party. Apparently at the party, Diaz spent the whole time outside smoking, but she didn't share any cigarettes when people asked, and didn't really talk to anyone else at the party. And obviously not sharing a cigarette isn't the worst thing ever, but it definitely isn't friendly.
Starting off our list at number 10 is Phil Robertson. You will know him from appearing on the TV series Duck Dynasty. Back in 2013, he was fired from the show. They called it an indefinite hiatus, if we're being technical, after he made some incredibly offensive remarks about homosexuality. His remarks stem from his religious views, where he openly talks about how being a homosexual is considered a sin and anyone who is will not be in the kingdom of God. His words, not mine. He went on to say that being homosexual isn't right or natural. Some of his comments are too inappropriate to share, but one of them was referencing how he just doesn't get that someone would be attracted to a man's anus. Yes, he went there. After the comments were made, A&E Network released the following statement, I quote, "We are extremely disappointed to have read Phil Robertson's comments in GQ, which are based on his own personal beliefs and are not reflected in the series Duck Dynasty. His personal views in no way reflect those of A&E Networks, who have always been strong supporters and champions of the LGBT community." He was fired from the show, but apparently fans didn't agree with it and demanded that he come back to the show. He ended up only being fired for 9 days before they agreed to let him back on. So I guess they are just more forgiving than some. In spot number 9 is Nicolette Sheridan, known as one of the divas on the hit TV series Desperate Housewives. Although you could probably consider all of them to be divas, Nicolette might have been the biggest one of them all, according to the media. Reports say she constantly clashed with the show creator Mark Cherry, which led her to being dismissed from the show unexpectedly one day. Her character was killed off in April 2009 during one of the episodes, and Nicolette filed a lawsuit against Cherry and Touchstone Television for wrongful termination. That is when she began to air out a bunch of dirty laundry, making claims that Cherry hit her in the head and that ABC fired her in retaliation for reporting the assault. Cherry admitted to touching her, but said it was only a demonstration on how to enact a comedic moment during a scene. The case went to trial and the director stated that her character's death had been in the show's plan for months. He went on to say that her termination was because of differences and her unprofessional behavior. The trial ended with a mistrial and the appeals were rejected. The actress was left out of a job with no compensation. Talk about a lose-lose situation. Sliding into number 8, we have Thomas Gibson. The talented actor is known for many of his roles, but mainly for playing Aaron Hotchner in CBS series Criminal Minds. The actor had a huge reputation built from being on the show for so many seasons, but he ruined it all by one mistake. The actor was fired after having an altercation on set with the executive producer, Virgil Williams. However, according to TMZ, Gibson's termination was a long time coming. Apparently, they had several issues before that regarding the actor's anger management problems. He was first ordered to attend anger management classes after he punched an assistant director in the face back in 2010. Sources say Gibson was, and I quote, aggressive and verbally abusive for years on the set of Criminal Minds. Then, 6 years later, in 2016, he lashed out again and kicked the producer Williams after a heated argument over the script. They sent him home immediately, originally just for a 2-week suspension, but the producers and network decided it was best to terminate him altogether, so they did. He was never brought back to set. At number 7 is Taylor Momsen. You would have once recognized her as one of the main stars on the hit TV series Gossip Girl. However, you probably wouldn't recognize her today as the cute bubbly blonde because she has completely changed her look and behaviors. She is now the lead singer of the rock band The Pretty Reckless. She appeared on the TV show Gossip Girl for 4 seasons, but in the 4th season she only appeared in 4 episodes, and people were starting to notice that her screen time had gone down significantly. It was then announced that the actress would be scheduled for an indefinite hiatus, aka they were letting her go. Reports were made saying that the producers struggled working with her and her off-screen behaviors. One of them said during an interview that she had, I quote, unreliable and erratic behavior. It didn't help that her look also began to stray away from the girly innocent teen Jenny, which she played on the show. She was no longer a regular cast member of the 4th season, and she later told Elle magazine in 2011 that she quit acting altogether so that she could focus on her music career. So I guess it just all worked out for the better. Taking over spot number 6 is Paula Deen. She's the queen of Southern cooking and was one of the leading ladies on the Food Network. Unfortunately, she was dropped from the network back in 2013 after making racial comments. It all started when she didn't show up for an interview on the Today Show without any explanation as to why. We later found out, along with the Today Show, through online videos where the actress and cook begged her family and fans to forgive her for using racist language. Everyone was confused as hell until it was later explained that Paula was actually in a lawsuit with a former employee. In the documents, which ended up being released, she admitted to having using racial slurs, tolerated racial jokes, and condoned pornography in the workplace. The Food Network did not elaborate on its reasons for dropping her. They only stated that she would not be renewing her contract. Talk about a recipe for disaster. Halfway through our list, at number 5 is Shannon Doherty. The actress has a very successful career, which is surprising since she managed to get fired from 2 different TV shows, Beverly Hills 90210 and Charmed. Reports say that the actress was fired from Charmed after an ongoing feud with co-star Alyssa Milano. According to the Huffington Post, Shannon told Entertainment Tonight, I quote, "There was too much drama on the set and not enough passion for the work. None of this was all that surprising because she already had feuding issues on Beverly Hills 90210, which ended up having her fired once again for getting into an altercation on set." Her co-star Tori Spelling opened up in 2015 about what really happened. Turns out Shannon and her other co-star Jenny Garth were always at each other's throats. Ugh, girls. The tension came to a breaking point on set one day when the crew had to physically pull the 2 girls apart because they were in a physical altercation. Tori Spelling went to her dad, who was the producer of the show, and had Shannon fired immediately. Tori said it wasn't easy having her friend fired, but it was something that just needed to happen. Alright guys, at number 4 is Robert Downey Jr. That is right, our beloved Iron Man wasn't always some big influential hero. The good news is he was never fired from Marvel, and that's really all that matters, am I right? However, it turns out that the actor was a mess before he became Iron Man, to a point where he was fired from set on the TV series called Ally McBeal. The series ran from 1997 to 2002, and during during that time he was struggling with a severe drug addiction. During that timeline, he found himself in mugshots and courtrooms on multiple different occasions. It wasn't until 2001 when he was arrested once again for suspicion of being under the influence of illegal substances. It was this arrest that had him kicked off the show. He was let go immediately and written off of the show with no future plans to bring his character back. The producer of the show, David E. Kelley, made a statement following the arrest and said that the season would wrap without Downey Jr. in it. The producer refused to give a reason for the actor's sudden departure, but Downey later opened up about it with the truth. They rewrote the ending to the show, which didn't include his character, plain and simple. Since then, he has turned his whole life and career around, clearly. And I think it's safe to say that he has gone like above and beyond. Here we are, number 3, with the former Nickelodeon star Jeanette McCurdy. She's known for her role on iCarly and then its spin-off series called Sam and Cat. You can imagine it probably doesn't take much to get booted from a network like Nickelodeon, seeing as you have to be on your best behavior and more at all times. Well, this actress was until some of her personal off-screen behaviors ended up getting leaked to the public. And by behaviors, I mean nude photos. Well, not totally nude, she did have underwear on. The 21-year-old was mortified after pictures of her emerged all over the internet, which she claims she had only sent to her ex-boyfriend. She had recently dissed him publicly, saying that he was a bad kisser, and then the photos leaked not very long after, so it really doesn't take a genius to piece 2 and 2 together. After the images surfaced, it was announced that the show would not be renewing a contract with the actress, or at all for that matter, which was surprising seeing as the first series had a huge success co-starring the one and only Ariana Grande. Jeanette went on to tweet out comments about Nickelodeon not treating her properly, which is why she ended up skipping the Kids' Choice Awards, even though she was nominated for Favorite TV Actress. The network denied all of her allegations and won't speak about the leaked images, because realistically, that is probably a very awkward conversation for a network like Nickelodeon. At number 2 is Columbus Short. The actor was living the dream, starring on the hit TV show Scandal, where he played Harrison Wright on the series from 2012 to 2014. Although he was talented, he was let go because of his drug addiction and different issues with the law. He was first arrested for felony battery after a brawl took place at a bar, and then also got arrested for a domestic violence incident involving his wife. TMZ reported that his wife got a restraining order against him after she claimed he put a knife to her throat, threatening to kill her. Not only did the actor have legal issues, but he also had trouble quitting his cocaine addiction. When it came to be too much, the show decided to let him go on set one day and ended up killing his character off of the show. Back in 2014, Short opened up about his addiction during an interview with Access Hollywood Live, saying, and I quote, "I'll be candid, I was struggling with drugs. I had a lot on my plate, and I was using unhealthy ways to kind of self-medicate and deal with a lot of the heavy-duty stuff in my life." When they asked him what type of drugs he was abusing, his response was, "I was doing cocaine and drinking a lot." He has since openly apologized to everyone involved with the show and also to all of his fans. Taking the number 1 spot on our list is Drake. Don't forget, you guys, before he was a rapper, he was just another actor in Toronto starring on the TV series Degrassi: The Next Generation. He took on the role of Jimmy in the series from the years 2001 to 2009, but while he was on the show, he was also working on music on the side. Turns out that is actually the reason that he was eventually let go from the series. During an interview with W Magazine, he said, I quote, "That was part of the reason I was kicked off the show. Back then, I would spend a full day on set and then go to the studio to make music until 4 or 5 a.m. I'd sleep in my dressing room and then be in front of the cameras again by 9 a.m. Eventually, they realized I was juggling 2 professions and told me I had to choose. I chose this life." So basically, you're telling me that it was like a Troy Bolton situation where you have to pick between music and your other passion. They ended up letting him go from the show, but he has no hard feelings about it, seeing as he is now one of the most successful artists in Hollywood.